I'd like to add to what Rajiv started with, where it's almost coercing things out of the panel for finding out what good has been done in the country. One doesn't hear this anywhere else. All you hear in the media or see in television is what all is going wrong. Then we say, we want foreign direct investment. I mean, Adil, if I were to tell you that my house is breaking, but come and rent it here, please, would you? Who's going to invest here? Let's look at another side of this. Who has actually invested? Let's take a Levers, or let's take a Pepsi. They're putting in $5 billion. They know this country. Despite that, they're putting in $5 billion each. That's 10 of the 35 you're talking about. I mean, there are positives. Why? How is it that no one talks about any positive? There are vested interests. With the elections coming, it's only going to get worse. And the cynicism, I don't think is government. The cynicism is being brought about by vested interests. We ourselves are our worst enemies. And who can do anything about this?
So can I think there are many answers to the question. First of all, we had this discussion, I think, over dinner the other day, which is, if you look at polls around the world, you know, in almost every country, and people here have lived in many countries around the world, you know, UK, France, Germany, US, etc. The level of debate and discourse about, you know, people being dissatisfied with how things are is actually not only very high, but it's probably higher than us by a lot. You know, there is a set of polls done around the world about who's the most, you know, the level of optimism in a country. And India typically winds up as being number 1 or number 2 or in the top 10%. Okay? Even though our GDP per capita is so low and we have all the problems of education, you know, healthcare, etc. So I think actually, if you forget the headlines for a second, we are a nation of optimists. You know, a very large proportion of people believe that tomorrow will be better than today. I think some of the cynicism comes from the fact that, as Shekhar, you said in your article in the book, right, that the Indian population has gone from gratitude to resentment to aspiration, is that a few years of spectacular growth, when everybody was doing better than the year before, have raised everybody's aspirations at all levels to a very high level. And over the last few years, we are not meeting those aspirations. We're still growing at 4-5%. And, you know, when you have this discussion with a large number of European countries where they're worried about whether they'll grow at minus 0.5% or 0.5%, 5% looks pretty damn good. Okay? So I think let's separate that out. Everyone has the right to, you know, complain. I think it's a human, it seems to be a human condition around the world. We all like complaining about it, but let's keep it in perspective. Your second question, if I can answer about the foreign direct investment, actually, is despite everything that we complain about, despite everything that Indian companies and foreign companies complain about, the flow of foreign direct investment into India has only slowed, not stopped. And it is still substantially higher than we have had at any point in the history of India, except for that 5-year period, or actually a 3-year period. And it's coming back up. I think people understand what's happening here and are cautious about the investment, but it's not as though it has stopped. So in a sense, the people who complain the most about us are ourselves. But you know, at some level, it's such a human thing to do. I mean, you can't tell people stop complaining. You take away a very enjoyable part of everyone's lives.